Good morning. It's time for Gridiron Dice and Drives. We are playing my fictional Continental Football League. This morning early, I wrapped up game. Let's see here, week 2, game 1. Raleigh at Allentown. Allentown won 13-9, scoring on a defensive touchdown on the final 2 drives of the game. Truly amazing. Now we have 1-0 Canton, who had a gutsy victory last week. Remember, Canton got depleted. They were beat up. They suffered an injury. They suffered a shorthanded injury, and it affected their defense. And then again suffered a second injury, affecting their offense. They are depleted, which means we have to roll to see if they recover anything between weeks. So Canton with a 21-13 gutsy victory in week 1. New York won in a grueling 6-0 game over Portsmouth. I swear to God, I set my league in the 1960s, but if there is no doubt this is simulating the 1920s, 30s, 40s football. It's fantastic, at least the early era chart. It's just so good. So again, you're going to want to get your head around the fact that it's that kind of football where there might be 3-0 games, 6-0 games, lots of punts, especially if both teams are defensive. All right, so here's our issue. This is the second straight road game for Canton, which makes it harder to recover. I have to roll a 5 or a 6 for Canton to at least recover to shorthanded. So here we go. They are currently depleted. So for them to gain, they would go from from depleted to shorthanded. And then, of course, we have to determine what side of the ball is still hurting. So this is outstanding. We need a 5 or a 6 to improve. Canton had a gutsy victory, but I don't believe they're going to beat New York in New York, depleted. Oh, they recover. So let's roll. Odd offense recovers. No, defense recovers. Their defense was a 0, so that's good, though, at least. That means New York does not get a plus, but Canton's offense still injured. So offense shorthanded means -1 drive margin, right? So you got to remember, you're going to be adjusting that difference between the drive margin charts. Wow. All right, and we still have to check weather for New York, so let's go ahead and do our weather check, pre-game weather. So we got a whole pre-game ritual we got to do here. Check your injury status of any teams that are injured. And you're going to want to make a note of that, by the way. I don't note it on the actual game chart, so I have to keep a record of who's hurt going through every week. If not, you'll forget. All right, weather. Here we go. New York's weather is +0, so they don't have any special effect here in New York. 6, though, it is going to be commissioner's choice. Oh, my God, I don't like to hear that. I'm going to say New York is famous for this. High winds, maybe. At least that stadium in New York was famous for creating swirling winds. This is the 1960s, so probably slightly different, but I'm going to go ahead and go with high wind. Punt trouble, 1 column worse for field goal table. So it's going to be high winds. High winds, -1 field goal column. So you're shifting the column, not the dice. So if you're looking at a +2 field goal kicker, he's going to shift to a +1, right? Okay, that kind of thing. Or if you're looking at the range, right? All right, so here we go. Let's roll to see if Canton wins the coin toss. At midfield, the captains are out there. We still have an offensive captain. We still have our running back, Hemingway, out injured. And they are going to win the toss. Canton, high winds. They're not going to want to field the ball in their own end of the field. Remember, back in the day, teams would even punt on 1st, 2nd, 3rd down. If they were in their side of the field, like rugby, they just got the hell out of there. I'm playing 1960, so I'm not going to think narratively that that's quite it, but they are definitely going to choose to be with the wind. So they're going to kick off, or excuse me, they're going to give New York the choice so they can have the win. New York is going to choose to take the ball, right? So Canton will kick off, and that would give them the win. Of course, it won't matter, but high winds, you can imagine they would be trying to navigate those winds. All right, New York, and they got to hope that New York suffers an injury to start to equal these odds a little bit. New York's kick return is fantastic, +1 field position. Things aren't looking good for Canton. It's New York's. Walker's already the hero in New York as he kicked 2 field goals to beat Portsmouth in week 1, 6-0. Canton had an amazing game from Roscoe and Hemingway. However, Hemingway went out injured and Betters went out injured. Betters is back. Here we go. It's going to be +1, +2. So +2 is a productive drive. 3, I think, is not going to be enough to score. Field goal kicker is 1. Remember, field goal kicker is going to shift to 2 now. So -2, productive drive. I rolled a 3. It's a punt. So the coach says, no, the wind's too high. Go ahead and punt the ball. All right, so you can see how that wind shifted the -1 kicker down to a -2. All right, here we go. Canton with a +0 field position. So normal field position. And they're going to even out. Remember, -1, so they're -1. That's a punt. New York, remember, don't be shocked when these games are low scoring, especially if teams are injured and there's no edge for the offense. It's going to be a even, so a punt. We're going to have another one of those games where that New York defense is going to hold down the enemy. And they do have a +1 defense, so I like to see that, right? And the game tells me that a team is good at something. I expect to see them affect certain teams. +2. Uh-oh, so Canton's going to get a +2-. That's a +1 no man's land. So Canton finds themselves in no man's land, and we're looking at 6. 6 is long field goal attempt. Field goal +1 or +2 is automatic. He is a -2, and we don't shift it because of the high winds to -3. It's just -2, so he can't get any worse. So he's -2. They would be missed long field goal. So they tried it and missed. Missed long field goal attempt. So the head coach, Thompson, who is a -1, exercises poor judgment, sends his players out in no man's land to kick a long field goal in this wind. And the ball, I'm sure, literally twists and turns and fumbles. It probably hits at about the 15-yard line and makes this field goal kicker, Boone, look like a real champion. New York's going to get the ball. That's a missed long field goal, so we got to kind of adjust here. Opponent gets a +1, so it is a really bad coaching call. So that -1 informs me Thompson's not real bright. New York ends up getting the ball with a +1. So Canton has just given New York a +1. And it's going to, even with a +1, it's going to be even, so they're going to have to punt. The first quarter comes to an end, folks. 0-0. Again, Canton tried to be heroes and kick a long field goal in this weather. Bad idea. Canton gets the ball back, and their coach may have dodged a bullet. All right, it's going to be +1, -1, even. They're going to punt. New York, I'm telling you, man, these games are like, you can just see like old rugby matches. They're just not able to move the ball. They punt. Unbelievable. New York +2 is going to get productive drive. 2, their field goal kicker is a -1, so he's now a -2 on the productive drive chart. I rolled a 2. It's a punt. So again, at least their coach, who's also a -1, Paul, is kind of an idiot too. But at least he's not kicking long field goals like Thompson. Canton goes to work, and unfortunately, they're going to punt the ball. And New York, man, midway through the second quarter in a dogfight is going to be -4. Turnover, bad punt. Turnover or bad punt. Okay, let's go to the turnover bad punt chart. You got to be kidding me. All right, so here we go. Punt trouble. Receiving team's return, -2. And the punt is 0, so -2. And coverage is also -1. So it's going to be actually a -1. That minus and minus integers would make for a -1. -1 on the trouble chart is a 2. 2 is a punt. So they have trouble in the swirling wind, but fortunately the punt is filled in a normal situation. Canton Bulldogs had a chance there to get some special teams action, and unfortunately it didn't quite go bounce their way. Canton +1, +3, -1, +2. Canton is in productive chart 4, but again their field goal kicker's a -2. 4 on the -2 chart is a missed long field goal, so he lines them up. And he kicks another long field goal in the swirling wind. New York in the final 2 minutes with a +1 field position. Thompson is desperate to get something in New York. So desperate, he's asking Boone to make long field goal attempts in swirling winds. Oh my God, I think Thompson's going to get fired. New York, they get a bonus because he kicks it into swirling winds. New York with a final drive of the first half with a chance to take the lead, and that may be all they need to win the game. No, it's going to be a punt as their coach is playing it smart. Folks, we got a halftime dogfight. There'll be people who don't think this is fun. In my opinion, scoring should be, why is, for me, hockey, soccer, why is it so exciting when there's a goal? Because they're rare. You got to earn them. You have to bust your ass to get a goal in soccer. You got to bust your hump to get a goal in hockey. Even high-scoring hockey games, people forget you might be out there taking a beating and peppering shots, and you're not able to get that thing. So when you do, it's euphoric. Football has evolved into points are given. When is the team going to make a defensive play? And that's what I hate about modern football. So I really love old school football because strategy mattered, field position mattered. You weren't guaranteed points. Great offensive players were so valuable because they could make a big play to win a ball game on any given down. And so I love this kind of football. This is slobber knocker, difficult, hard-nosed football. And so when that score comes, for me it's epic, All right, so Canton made the right decision at the start of the game because I'm making it for this coach. And we chose to let New York choose. They chose to take the ball, so Canton basically is going to get the ball to start the second half. But more importantly, Canton will not have, they'll have the wind at their back. So those two long field goals to top everything off, Canton did have the wind at their back on those two long field. Well, in the first half, the wind would have been at their face. In the second quarter, they would have had the wind at their back when he kicked that second one. Now, again, they're going to have the wind at their back in this half. And it's a good return, but not going to be good enough to get them into good field goal range. Can Canton overcome this injury? It's going to be -2. No, actually -3. It's going to be a punt. They're lucky that they're on the even charts. New York gets the ball. New York, Canton in a dogfight. -4. Turnover, bad punt. And again, can you see that bad punt narratively? I can, because that tells us exactly in this weather, every time you punt, the wind pushes that ball in circles. That could be horrific coming back in your face. And I rolled a 6, though, so -2. Remember, field goal shifts to -2. 6. Made. Oh, no, they did not. Oh, turnover. Okay, I was looking at the wrong chart. Where's the turnover chart? Oh, here it is. Okay, so let's do this right. Return team, -2. Coverage, punt and coverage are, so -1. I rolled a 6. -1, 6 is turnover. Oh, they turned it over. I'm going to say that was a New York. I'm going to say that was a run fumble because it makes sense they would have been trying to run in this weather. And the ball came out, fumble. So we go down here to our charts. Turnover chart. Let's see here. Okay, I think we still have to roll, though, don't we? Turnover? Yeah, we do. We have to check the turnover chart now. Oh, no, that's if I had a turnover on the score chart. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So what happens on the turnover? As far as field position, turnover. Here we go. Where's my turnover? Turnover 0. So no bonus, but Canton gets a cheap turnover. There is no bonus. So because they punted deep enough into territory, the wind, or maybe he fumbled the snap, they snapped the ball and the wind pushed the ball out of the punter's range, and that ball ultimately was caught and he successfully punted it. But had this been a bad punt with a +1, you could see that as the punter fumbled the snap. All right, Canton with the ball. He will not get a bonus. They are -1 still due to a shorthanded injury on offense. And -3. -3 will be a punt. They're avoiding turnovers, which is amazing. New York, final play of the third. Somebody's got to score. Oh, it's going to be +2. Productive drive, and I rolled a 6 again. And again, we're looking at the -2, though, because of the wind. So that productive chart is kind of killing them with a -2 field goal rating. I rolled a 6, made a long field goal, so we get a heroic. Walker is becoming. So Walker made 2 kicks to beat Portsmouth, and he was becoming a hero in that game. Kids stopped to buy his autographed black and white photograph. Walker, in bad weather, with the wind in his face, just made a long field goal. It's good, folks. Oh my God, that's it. The crowd roaring in New York at the Big Apple Stadium. The Tycoons get a lead. And right now, Walker is the hero of this league. And you got to remember, back in the day, guys like Jim Thorpe and the great quarterback for the Washington Redskins, they were the best punters and kickers. They were the best athletes. They could do anything, but they made their names punting and kicking. Unbelievable. That ends the quarter. New York, with the wind in their face, he hits a long field goal on a -2 field goal chart, on a productive chart. True. Oh wait, no. What am I saying? 6. Yeah, made a long field goal. Unbelievable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, sorry. This is the final drive of the third quarter, so I wrote that down too early. All right, Canton with a -1, +5, -1, +4. I think Canton just stole their. Man, Canton is the gutsiest. So Walker's a hero. But Canton is the gutsiest team in the league so far. I love the narrative that erupts from this game. +4. Red zone. Oh, my God. 1, though. Goal line stand. New York's defense. Oh, wait. He made the field goal, so we got to kick off. Oh, it's an injury. They're depleted again. So that's going to be a +1 offense for New York for the remainder of the game. They're depleted again on the kickoff. So let me rethink that. Okay, that's only going to affect defense because their offense was already shorthanded, so their defense becomes shorthanded. So I rolled, so we still count this, and I rolled a 1, so it's going to be a red zone stop. You got to be kidding me. So Canton was -1, red zone, goal line stand for the New York defense to end the quarter. My gosh, goal line stand. And New York will get the ball, though, in their own territory. They stop it, so they're -1. But New York now gets a +1 to their offensive rolls because Canton suffered another injury. So Canton injured on the kickoff. Unbelievable. All right, New York gets a -1 because they're driving from their own 5 or their own 4 or something. So Canton, so this coach, in the first half, tried 2 long field goals in this wind and weather with a bad field goal kicker. Here he is with a chance to tie the game 3-3, and he went for it at the goal line. So Thompson, I might literally, as commissioner, make a roll randomly at the end of this game to see if the owner of Canton fires Thompson immediately. You don't kick 2 long kicks in this weather, and then when you have a chance to tie the game in the going into the fourth quarter, you don't do it. Shite. I think you got to fire Thompson. I really do. I think it's going to be a foregone. The news headline will be Thompson on the chopping block, right? All right, New York with a -1. They start deep in their own territory. Can New York add to their lead? No, -1. So they're going to be -2, -3. They're going to punt deep in their own territory. Canton gets the ball back, fortunately. Can Thompson save his job with heroic play? Again, they get a -1, so +2, -1, +1 is going to be no man's land. Don't tell me he's trying to kick again. 1. Oh, my God, 1. He punts. This time he punts. Jiminy Christmas. Canton's giving me a heart attack. +1. New York needs another score to put this game on ice. It's going to be a +1, +2. They're going to be in productive drive. Oh, but I rolled a 1. -2 kicker on a productive drive chart, and I rolled a 1. It's going to be a punt. So it's still a productive drive. What that means is they just get in a situation to make a nice clean punt. Canton running out of time to tie this game. It's going to be +2, -1 for their depleted offense, which was already true. So +2, +1. Man, I'm rolling good for them. No man's land again. Uh-oh, I think we have another long field goal attempt. No man's land. I rolled a 5. 5 is pinning punt. So great punt. And it's going to be New York -1 field position. They do have a +1 added to their offense now. So it's going to be -4. +1 is -3. -1 for the pinning punt. So we count this straight up -4. I think they just screwed themselves, folks, in the final drive. -4. Turnover, bad punt. Uh-oh. Unbelievable. All right. Turnover, bad punt. Receiving return again. -2. Canton's forcing these, but they stink. So -1. And I rolled a 4. -1 and I rolled a 4. 4 is pinning punt. So they drive and then they pin. My God, what a perfect coaching performance. Canton's in no man's land. They pin them deep, but New York goes on a long drive, yardage-wise, not necessarily time-wise. And in the final drive of the game, Canton gets the ball pinned deep in their own territory. They are now -2 because of their injury. They are shorthanded on offense, and now they're pinned deep. So subtract 2 from this differential. It's going to be even, -2. They're going to end up punting the ball away, and time expires. Game over. My God. So we got a long field goal by New York after a productive drive. Canton answers after another injury, depletes their defense. They drive down to the red zone and a goal line stand by the New York defense. Thompson had a chance to kick the chip shot game-tying field goal. This game would have ended in a tie. As it is, Thompson went for the win. You could see that as an aggressive coach. He tried to kick field goals. I was aggressive. Got down to the red zone. Tried to go for a 4th down. The New York defense held. That means Thompson, all of these actions are an aggressive coach. This is a coach trying to win the ball game. Do you fire a coach who says, while we're here, let's go get a touchdown and put this game on ice? No, I don't fire a coach for that. I am asking myself, how important was that tie on the road against New York? We won't know until the season gets close to the end. We won't know how much this hurts them to have lost this. And folks, they lose it 3-0. Canton is 1-1 despite heroic play. And New York 2-0, and they have scored 9 points. Walker is the hero in New York. There is no doubt kids in New York are now begging their parents to buy them Walker jerseys, right? Or they're wearing their for those who wouldn't know, you would wear it. Jerseys were made of wool back in the day, so they're buying the color jersey. Say this team is New York, maybe blue and gray. They're buying navy jerseys and they're taping number 91 on the jerseys around the neighborhood with their little leather helmets running around. And of course, that would be earlier. This is 1960s, but still, holy cow. But you see how it is giving us 20s, 30s, and 40s football. It is freaking perfect. Another brilliant game. Again, there'll be people who say, geez, that's boring. Well, you got to understand your history, and you got to be interested in this style of football for it to be fun, right? But now we're seeing heroes erupt. Canton with 2 heroic games. They lose 3-0 to New York. Next up is Muncie at Portsmouth. And Portsmouth lost 6-0. And Muncie lost 21-13. So something's got to give with the Muncie and Portsmouth both being 0-1. Somebody's bound to win that game, right? Or we could end up in a 0-0 tie or a 3-3 tie. All right, thank you for watching. This has been Dale Baranum's Gridiron Dice and Drives. Frickin' amazing. Absolutely amazing. We are currently working, and I don't think Dale minds me saying this, the Canadian version module. It's not going to be a complete. It's not going to be a complete book. It's going to be a module book. In other words, it's going to be a standalone Canadian version, but you can use it with the full Gridiron rule book. So the Canadian standalone module book will be smaller, and it will be compatible with Gridiron's advanced rules. That's looking brilliant. Dell sent me the proofs yesterday. It looks freaking amazing. And we have one other module coming for Gridiron, as Dell and I are right now banging out the details of how we want that module to look. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.